Hello students and welcome to section 2. In this section we're going to start learning about the quotient rule. This is going to be a long lesson, but it's split up into 4 videos, so stay with it. Let's get right into it. So as we start to learn about the quotient rule and these additional rules for differentiation, just like the product rule, we want to start with like some function that we can write in polynomial form. Okay, so I can rewrite this f of x as divide everything by x squared. So let's see, we're going to get 2x minus 3 plus 2x to the negative second, right? And so now I can take that derivative very easily. So f prime of x equals 2, that's a constant, so minus 4x to the negative third. And if I wanted to, like, I could even rewrite that a little bit, and I could say, okay, f prime of x equals, let me see, 2 minus 4 over x cubed. And if I wanted to, like, let's just see what happens. If I rewrote this, I would need to multiply the first one by x cubed over x cubed, something like that, so we could get a common denominator. So I'll get 2x cubed minus 4 all over x cubed. And it'll simplify. If I were to divide everything by x cubed, we would get back to that original f prime. So something to keep in mind here. And we're going to use that now, and I'm going to give you the quotient rule. So again, Leibniz and Newton both came up with calculus at the same time, but it was this proof that Leibniz made a huge mistake, and this is what brought him shame in the mathematics world. It ruined his entire career, and Isaac Newton ruined his life. If you want to hear that story, just let me know and I will definitely share it. So if we're given a function where h of x is the quotient of two function f on g of x, and we want to find that derivative, so h prime of x, what is that going to be? Well, that's going to be g of x times f prime of x minus f of x times g prime of x, all divided by g of x squared. So that seems like a lot to memorize, especially as you're thinking about it like, okay, I've got to memorize the product rule. I've got to know all the different parts of the power rule. Any other sorts of rules that are come up, sine and cosine. Like, we've got to memorize all of these. So how am I going to remember this? Okay, so there's a nice little way to do it. So if we consider this the high part and the low part, the part that the little tune that normally people use is low d high minus high d low, square the bottom, and away we go. So look at this. Low, you just write the low, d high. So the derivative, so d high, so minus high, d low, so the derivative of the bottom, the derivative of the lower part of the fraction. So the derivative of g of x is g prime. Square the bottom, and away we go. All right, and so using that fact here, we want to again do the exact same problem where we wrote in polynomial form and took the derivative. Let's see if we can get to the same answer here. So if we want to find f prime of x, that's going to be x squared times the derivative of the top, so times 6x squared minus 6x minus the top, 2x cubed minus 3x squared plus 2 times the derivative of the denominator, so just times 2x. Now we want to square the denominator, so x squared squared. Now this is where all the simplifying comes in. So let's simplify this. Yes, we just found the derivative, but we do want to simplify it just to see what happens. So I'm going to get 6x to the fourth minus 6x cubed. And then that's going to be minus 4x to the fourth. And then that's going to be plus 6x cubed. And now it's going to say minus 4x. And now that all goes over x to the fourth. All right, so let's simplify that even more. So 6x minus 4x to the fourth, so that's going to be 2x to the fourth. Those cancel out right there, and then it's 6x plus 6x. And then minus 4x all over x to the fourth. And I can factor out here a 2x, but the 2 won't really matter. So I'm just going to factor out the 2, and then the x cubed minus the 2x cubed, sorry, minus 4 all over x to the fourth. And so now x over x to the fourth, I'll be left with 2x cubed minus 4 over x cubed. Go back up, check it. That's the exact same thing that we got just a moment ago when we were doing the same problem. And we did it by putting it in polynomial form first. So the quotient rule, right, it does work. I gave it to you, and this shows that it is working. And so now that we know that it is working, let's actually do a problem with it, okay? So we want to find the equation of the tangent line, all right? So there are 2 things we need with the equations of tangent lines. You need the slope and you need the point of tangency. So if we want to find that equation, let's start by finding that point of tangency. So our point of tangency right here, we just need to find g of negative 2. All right, so then that's going to be 2 times negative 2 minus 1 over negative 2 plus 3. All right, so that's negative 4 minus 1, so negative 5 over 1, which is negative 5. So that's my point of tangency. Now let's find the slope of the tangent line. Well, in order to do that, I need to find g prime of x. So let's find g prime of x. So that's going to be x plus 3 times 2. So it's the derivative of the numerator minus high, so 2x minus 1 times the derivative of the denominator, so 1, and square the denominator. Away we go. All right, so I want to find the slope of the tangent line, and in order to do that, I need to find g prime of negative 2. All right, so I'm going to plug that in. I'm going to substitute it into my derivative function. So negative 2 plus 3, and that's going to get multiplied by 2, minus 2 times negative 2 minus 1, all over negative 2 plus 3 squared. Okay, so let's find what this value comes out to be. So I get 1 times 2 minus, let's see, that's negative 4 minus 1, so minus 5, all over 1 squared, so all over 1. Okay, so I get 2 plus 5, which is 7. All right, so now I have enough information where I can write my equation of the tangent line, right? So that's going to be y minus the y value that I found, so negative 5, so plus 5, equals my slope, so 7 times x plus 2, so that x value. And that is how we can actually use the quotient rule, right? Before, we didn't know what to do with an equation like that, but now we do know how to handle that. All right, so that's going to conclude this video. Just a basic introduction to the quotient rule. What is it? How can we use it? What cases do we want to use that in? In our next video, we're going to look at some of the additional trigonometric functions. So stay with it. You really need to memorize those. You really need to memorize the quotient rule. If you do need any help understanding the quotient rule and how we get it, please reach out to me. I'm Mr. Hernandez, and this is Mr. Hernandez Teaches.